Hi, this is Vanessa Mota with Mota Crosslinking Business Academy and Mota Enterprises. Again, I am the United States president for the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs, and it is an honor to have this um, program called Leading Fantastic Five. And it's normally, 4 or 5 businesses that come together. This time, I'm including myself with everybody. So we will begin with Councilwoman Tamika Isaac Devine. And I will tell you a little bit about who Tamika is: a wife, mother, practicing attorney, an elected official, an entrepreneur, professional speaker, best-selling author, and a certified personal and executive coach. Tamika Isaac Devine is one of the nation's leading experts on work-life integration. As the founder of the Possibilities Institute, she works with women leaders and mothers to empower them to discover their leadership possibilities, maximize their potential, and live a life that leaves a legacy. She is a strong believer that women can have happy and fulfilling personal lives without sacrificing their professional goals and aspirations. She worked with hundreds of women to help them achieve work life integration so they can have amazing and successful careers without the feeling of guilt often associated with women and female entrepreneurs in business. Well, aside from all this great stuff that I just said about you, I know you personally, and I know you're a great person, and you always believe about on inclusivity, you know, bringing people together, uniting them, and I know we have similar beliefs in that. And I've seen you do great work, and I really do believe that. Mayor will be your next name, Mayor Tamika Isaac Devine. But anyways, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story. How did you become? How did you get where you're at now, and what caused for you to know where you're projecting to go next?
Okay, well, great. Well, first of all, thank you, Vanessa and Ulysses off this camera for inviting me. You guys are always so welcoming, and I appreciate you always including me in the things that you're doing. And I'm so proud of all the things that you're doing, not just here locally, but internationally. But to answer your question, like you mentioned, I am a mom and a wife for first and foremost. And one of the things that I believe with, as you are building a legacy for your family, and as you are living a life that you're investing in the community as well as building a business, it's very important that you're happy at what you do. And so for me, I am an attorney by profession. I've always wanted to be a lawyer ever since I was a little girl. And so, but I never really thought I would own my own law firm. I thought I'd work for someone else. And when I was working for someone else, I was prosecuting domestic violence and sexual assault cases. I was told that I couldn't do certain things on company time, which you get it. You work for someone else, you run by their rules, and if they say you can't do that while we're paying you, then you can't. And so I realized that my parents are entrepreneurs. I grew up seeing entrepreneurship in that way, and so I realized that yeah, you're right. I can't do this on your time, so I'm going to be able to work on my time. And so I started my own firm, and so this November I would have had this practice for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 years in business. And most people don't think about lawyers as being entrepreneurs, but we are. I represent my clients. I do the legal work, but I also clean the bathrooms, and I hire and fire and write and do payroll and pay taxes. And have to deal with the maintenance of our building, everything that goes with being an entrepreneur. I tell people all the time, if I don't work, I'm not getting paid, and that's the journey of being an entrepreneur. So I've done this for 20 years, but about 6 years ago, I branched off into a third business, and I say third because my second business is pretty much run by my husband. We invest in affordable housing and do and rent out our real estate so that we have that stream of income as well. But about 6 years ago, I started my consulting and public speaking firm. And mainly that was because, again, as a female entrepreneur, as a woman leader, as a member of Columbia South City Council, people would always come to me and say, "Hey, Tamika, I know you wear so many hats professionally, but you're also a wife and a mom. How do you do it all? How do you get that work life balance?" And I would tell them there really is no such thing as balance. I believe in work life integration, letting your priorities drive your actions, and it will all work out. And I integrate my kids like you do in my business. And so, as people kept coming to me for that, I realized that was a need in our community. So I started that consulting and public speaking firm, and we're at 6 years. And so I am still doing that. I'm still working here in my law office, as well as consulting and coaching and public speaking, as well as being a current member of Columbia City Council. And now I'm a candidate for mayor. And when I'm elected, I'll be the first female mayor that our city has ever had, which I think helps also with the journey that women particularly can see women in high levels of leadership, also running businesses, also raising families, and we can do it all. We just have to be very passionate about what it is that we choose to do.
Okay, great. So, all right. So I know you mentioned passionate and priorities. How do you differentiate, like, no, not differentiate, how do you separate those two? Because a lot of times as women we get ran by passion, but we do forget those priorities. So how do you balance those two, I guess is the correct term, what I'm trying to get at. How do you balance passion and priorities?
Well, I mean, I think it's well, I won't say it's very easy. I'm very intentional. And I think that's an important word is understanding, living with intention and understanding that your intentions really drive what's inside of you. So does your passion. And so what I tell people all the time is allow your priorities drive your actions. And so for me, I'm very passionate about, of course, my kids and my family, but I'm very passionate also about my community and investing in my community and making it a better place. And that's why I'm a public servant. And so, for me, those aren't competing priorities. They're actually two sides of the same coin. And so, what I do is I understand that I can be led by the passion of investing in my community and whether it's wearing the hat of a lawyer or wearing the hat of a council person or being a community advocate. All of those things are about my passion of making the place that I live a better place for me and my family and those around me. And so then because I'm passionate about that, I set priorities that align with that passion and align with those goals. When you truly understand your why, and I say this all the time, you truly understand your why, the how becomes easy because you're driven by that why. And so that's why I think passion and priorities, they can be intertwined. I set my priorities around what is important to me, and that means that sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes there are things that are nice to do, but they may not really align with what you're passionate about or what your true why is, and so therefore they probably should not be a priority for you.
So in other words, you keep your passion and priority hand in hand.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
two sides
That's
of the same coin.
good. That's really good. Now, I, one of the things that you mentioned earlier about understanding your why, it your company allows, or is this something that you consult in, and is it something that you could give a sneak peek about it? How can women understand their why? Because a lot of women do not understand their why or don't know their purpose, and therefore they don't put hand in hand the priorities and the passion. Sometimes passion becomes more important, and then that's why people feel overwhelmed.
Mhm. Oh yeah, that's so true, and you're right. That's why I think a lot of women, particularly, get overwhelmed because we're trying to do too much, and not everything that we are doing is really worthy of our time because it's not really true to ourselves, and it's not part of our why. And so, understanding your why is very important. And so, yeah, it is something I help my clients with. But mainly, what I tell people a lot is your why. You know what it is. You just have to really kind of uncover it. And so I love this exercise that I learned years ago. It's called 7 layers deep. But basically, it's like you get someone, you can do it yourself or you can get someone to do it for you. But, I may ask you, hey, Vanessa, why do you do what you do? And then you say, because I like working in the community. but why? And then you say, well, because I think that there's a need. But why? And then you just keep asking why. And then it sometimes it gets deep, it goes deeper, and the person realizes why it is that you do what you do. And without doing this exercise with you, knowing you as well as I do, you do what you do because you, number one, you are building a legacy for your family. But the other thing, as a leader here in the community, you understand how our community is not fully inclusive, and that there are so many folks who are not native to America, but they're here building businesses, raising their families, maybe escaping things in their countries that were not good, and they've come here for a better life. And you are that conduit to help them get that better life, because you're helping them understand how do they get involved in the community, how do they build their business, how do they build something that's bigger than themselves, but that they can help their families that are here, and maybe their families that are back in their countries. And so, when you think about that, then yeah, it makes it easy for you to stay up late and decide, I'm going to, have a fast track program for, Spanish speaking, business owners and other things, because you understand what that bigger why is. And it's that helping people do exactly what you've been able to do. And so I think once you understand that why, you could be passionate about helping people build their businesses. But when you understand that the why is bigger than just them and making money in a business over here, but it's building that legacy and also being able to contribute to their family members who might be in another country, that passion it 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 takes on a different why for you. And I think that's why once you are able to tap into that why, again, the how becomes easy, because that drives you, that motivates you. And so you really don't get tired, because you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about that here. Um, watching these fast track students graduate and then going into society. See, my main goal at the end, and this is not about me, but I will tell you, is to connect them with the English speaking communities. Why? Because we can all work together. And some people are working in the English community, but what if they work with the Latino community or the Asian community and other communities? Not only are they helping other communities, but now they're generating more revenue. So it's a win-win for everybody. So my end goal is to connect everyone at the end. But I realize that for example, in the Latino community, there's a lot of things like it's so beautiful watching them go through fast track new venture, like the idea of the business. We're about to have 10 businesses open in Colombia and in West Colombia. Do you know how beautiful that feels? It's beautiful. So yeah, I agree with you. Your why, and I didn't realize that you had this company. One of the things that I'm intrigued. So you're a serialpreneur. You have
Yes.
several businesses. How do you manage all of them, aside from community advocacy and everything else that you do? And your family, I see you're very, very good with your family, and you feel the same way I do. The family's integrated in the business. How do you integrate them in your businesses, and how do you manage all these businesses? How are you this great serialpreneur? How can you balance everything?
Well, I will say again, I feel like it's not necessarily balancing. It's being true to myself, but it's also integrating and recognizing that all of this is part of me. All of this is Tamika. It's just different parts. So whether it's the public service hat, or the lawyer hat, or the consultant, or the real estate investor, or mom, and everything else, all that is all part of who I am, and it's all part of my service to my family and my community. But what I would probably say the biggest thing for me is, you mentioned like about like integrating. I tell people all the time, and especially women who are moms, and people who say, well, I can't do this because I have kids, and I have to do this and I have to do that. My kids, they learn more from what they see mommy do than what mommy actually kind of tells them. And so if they see mommy working hard, building a business, serving the community, they're learning from that, and they're taking lessons that are probably bigger than I could ever tell them about. My 15-year-old tomorrow is going to go do some service in the community and do some feeding to some of our homeless population. That's not something I didn't tell her to do it. I didn't give her that idea. Actually, she called me and said, "Mommy, we're doing this." And I'm like, "Okay, have you done this? Have you?" I mean, she didn't even tell me. She just kind of played it with her friends because that's the kind of service that she wants to give. And she's learned that from seeing her parents be servants. So I
Yeah.
think for us, I think part of that quote balance or integration or whatever you want to call it, part of it is just understanding that the life that you're living is also an example to other people. And so as you are passionate about building your business, as you are, having the struggles that we as all entrepreneurs have, and you're coming out of those in a better way, you're teaching others who might have those same type of struggles. So.
That is so true. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. Can you tell us, can you give us with, can you leave us with a message from you to all communities?
Yes, my message to all communities is, and of course, I'm passionate about Columbia. I represent Columbia as an at-large member of City Council right now, and a future mayor. I speak in positivity, so I always tell people I will be the mayor. But I'm running to be an independent voice, championing all communities and promoting inclusive and equitable growth. And I think that's really the message that I want is that inclusivity is not just a word, it's by your actions, and it's about opening opportunities for other people to have a seat at that table. And so what I would share with other communities is that understand that we all have a role to play, but the biggest impact we can have is when we work together and that we share experiences for the betterment of our bigger community.
Thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And yes, future mayor, thank you very much for everything that you do for us. Okay. Thank
Thank
you. And I
you.
hope you
You
have
have
a
a great
wonderful
weekend.
weekend. Adios.
Adios.
So that was our councilwoman, future mayor. She's running for mayor, Tamika Isaac Divine. Great interview. Please watch it. This is Vanessa Mota with CAINEM. I represent the U.S. President for the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. I'm very honored and I really appreciate for everything that CAINEM has done for me. Next, we have Mr. Lin Wong. How are you doing? And Mr. Lin Wong is um, he joined Mr. Ling Wang before joining the CAC, has worked in various fields. An MBA graduate from the Simon Business School, Rochester, New York. Mr. Wang gained his experience in purchasing, marketing, and corporate planning over a decade. He focused his work on international recruitment before moving to Columbia, South Carolina. He brought a significant number of international students to the University of South Carolina via extensive cooperation with academic partners around the world. Mr. Wong helped CAC maintain efficient relationships with its strategic partners and oversees the CAC events implementation. Aside from all of that, Mr. Wong is really great. And I have had a pleasure of joining the Chinese Association events, and they are so wonderful. As a person that lived in China for about 6 to 7 years, I can tell you I love the Chinese culture. And Mr. Wong is not only a colleague in the business world, but he's also a friend. So, can you tell us your story? I know that you're also a leader and you have done businesses and different things. Can you tell us about you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much, Vanessa. I think the pleasure is all ours. And then we are so grateful that you help us help the community for such a long time. And regarding myself, I moved to this country at year of 2001.
Hmm.
And then first, just as many young immigrants, first I study in the university, uh, New York, Rochester University. University of Rochester, such a long time ago.
Uh huh.
And and then it's a MBA program. After that, I found a job in New York in purchasing, and then you know, amazingly, it's a company called Keys Product, and then that company main business is making artificial fingernails, and then
Oh,
but they want to extend their business, extend their success in other beauty related product. So I was doing the purchasing for them. We at that time we found the manufacturer overseas, a lot of them in Asia markets. So that's how I started. And then I've tried a lot of fields. First, start at purchasing, later touch a little bit on the sales and marketing, even the inventory system, and then because of my wife's, and we relocate to Ohio, and then also the overseas education market is booming. A lot of opportunity for the young Asian students who came to United States to study. So that's how I started together with somebody that I know from China into the international education market. And then not too long after we moved to Colombia, and then we fell in love in this city. And then people are so nice, the weather are so good, and then we decided to stay. So it's been more than 10 years. So my child grew up in this city, so we really love it. And then I think that the University of South Carolina has a lot of potential. And then we have amazing faculty, and then the local people are very nice. And then we found, although it's a small city, it's quite uh, diversified. Is we have as we said, we have an international festival here, and we found out there are more than 100 countries that people are from a lot of the parts of the world are actually living here. So it's a small but vibrant community, and you know, um, it is a very nice place for a international student to settle down, to start his or her learning here, and then to be familiarized with the culture, and then it's a nice place. Yeah. So I have helping the university to grow the international student numbers. So far, so good.
what do you do exactly at USC?
Uh, my role is to communicate with international partners, to establish the relationship with the universities or the colleges abroad, and then sometimes they have a similar program that compare with ours, so that I build up the relationship, start to communicate with them, find out the similarities in the curriculums, so that based on the requirement of both sides, we set up programs. Sometimes, for the undergraduate study, sometimes it's 1+3 or 2+2. So the idea is for the for the student in a partner's university, they study in their home country for 1 or 2 years, and then they can be transferred to University of South Carolina to continue their study. And then if they meet the requirement of both sides, they can probably get a graduate certificate from both sides. If they meet our requirements, we will also give them our certificate. The others, if they meet their home requirement, that they got both. So that we actually just we transfer the student from our partner university to here, so that we can jointly develop program for the young people to learn here. This
Is
is
this
my
is this only with international students, or this is with other students that enroll at USC?
oh, we have the existing program for the domestic student already. So my role is to extend this opportunity to the partners overseas, so that we have a broader reach to all parts of the world.
So how many countries do you deal with a year?
For me, I work with several countries. I'll come to think of it, 8 countries in total. A lot of them are in Asia, like China, Vietnam, South Korea, and then we are begin to, and we have cooperation with a country in South America as well, and then like Ecuador, uh, Peru, and then we set up our partnership. Oh, and also Colombia, country of Colombia, and then uh, some of them are able to send us a lot of students, some of them sending several students, but we treat them equally. And then we're trying to develop more program in other parts of the world as well.
Do you travel to these countries?
Sometime, not a lot. And then the idea, the role for me is set up the initial talk, and then build up the communication channel to start to research on the curriculum of both sides. And then for the very specific task of comparing those courses, we have other professional to do it. Yeah, in the University
Now,
of South Carolina.
I have a question. Could it have been the fact that you were into sales, negotiating at the beginning of your lifetime when you started getting into marketing? Is that why you're able to negotiate now with the student, like getting these programs in? Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes no. Sometimes we call it negotiation, but more likely is having friendly conversation. And then
Okay.
I started in a related field many years ago when I was still in China. I was working for a company of Civil Aviation Administration of China. It's a
Uh-huh.
computerized system, and my work is to reach out for to another similar companies in other country that in the United States will be uh, a company called Saber Group, and then a company commonly known, they have website like Travelocity, and then to reach to them to negotiate or to have a friendly conversation with them to hopefully we can build a bridge between these two systems, so so that the computer host can talk to each other. So you can see that from very beginning, I'm trying to connect all the people together.
Oh, okay, okay. So another thing, what can you tell me? Do you own a business now, or do you plan on owning any businesses, or you rather just stay at the university?
From there, because university have regulations, and then currently I work for the university only, and then I have some roles, let's say in local community, as a, or it's like a more like non how to say, like a non-profitable organization.
Uh-huh.
uh, the organization such as you mentioned, the Chinese Association of Colombia,
Yes.
and then I also work as a board member for for some of the language schools in the area. But
Uh-huh.
related to these international education, I work for the U.S. The University of South Carolina only. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so but are there in is it in your plans to one day own your business?
Oh yeah, and then I used to own my business in the international trade.
Okay.
That's the time when I was in New York. The trading and then outsourcing business was very good at that time. So I briefly owned some company there, and then I was partnered with someone in the network business for a while, but
Okay.
not anymore. In the future, when my passion a lot of is in reading and writing now. So so I have my other plans, and then
Okay.
I began to shift some of my energy towards that, and then I don't mind probably in the future to work as a consultant in certain
Okay.
consulting firm, but I'm reposition myself in a lot of other things.
Okay. All right. So, when you worked in your business in international trading, what were some of the pros and cons that you saw at owning that kind of business?
Uh, Come to think of it, uh, sourcing and international trade, it sounds very easy, but as people say, the devil are in the details, and then and then uh, but the beauties is there as well. So uh, you here people say you have to own that product, and then for the international sourcing, a lot of time, that product is not yours to begin with. It's your customers, but you have to trade it as as a product of your own, so that you have to know the complete story of that, from a single, the color to the material of certain kind. So for me, I found out that to be good in that business, you have to learn a lot, and then every time that you are engaging a new customer, is excuse me, try to develop something just as your own. So you need to know their product, and then you need to know the resources and capability of the service provider. I mean, you can't just go to a Asian country and then find a small company or the factory say, "Can you make this?" You have to develop a a uh, a thorough understanding with the uh, regarding your manufacturers. So that is, and then you have to be responsible for the product that you provide. So that's the only way you can make your business successful. And
So,
then
in other words, I'm sorry. In other words, you have to build those relationships.
right, build relationship, know your product, spend a lot of time on it, and then you have to be ultimate responsible for a lot of things. You can't just say forget about it. It's not my product, and then take it or leave it. I know some company had done that before, but it's not a way to treat your customers. And then for the cons of this it it takes a lot of time of yours because of the time differences, and then because of other reasons, you have to be on duty, have to be there all the time, and then that's very demanding job. And then later on, I feel better because I have someone to help me with it, and then but at the very beginning, it's really a challenging job in many ways.
Wow. Wow, Mr. Wong, thank you so much for all this wonderful information. Could you leave us with a message from you to all the communities, please?
Let me think. For me, I would like to say to all the communities, especially the young immigrants, that this is still a land of opportunities. And then, if you try, you need to try harder, and then your effort will be rewarded.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. Thank you for everything
Thank you.
and hope to see you later. Thank you. Have a
Sure.
wonderful weekend.
Okay.
Adios. 再见.
Adios. Bye bye.
Bye. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Vanessa Mota with Mota Enterprises and U.S. President of CAINEM, International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And I am very grateful with CAINEM and being part of the CAINEM family. I will say just a few minutes. These earrings come from the next person, which is um, it that girl Coulter, and my necklace, today's image, is from Dragonflies and Roses. So, as you can tell here at, with us, we like to promote art, and this is art. This is art. Okay. I will tell you a little bit about Coulter. So, one of her mottos is let your inner glitter shine. A self described entrepreneur, Coulter is passionate about helping women find their inner confidence and passions. I see that. I feel very passionate today and confident. She has spent 16 years creating financial plans for divorcing women and helping them find confidence to move forward into uncharted territory. As a trained mediator, she has worked with couples to divide marital assets while maintaining an unbiased approach. While she is still working in the legal field, she is currently most passionate about transitioning her energy to designing and creating glitter fashion for women. There is something about glitter that brings a sense of excitement and uh, giddiness for her. What girl doesn't light up when they see something sparkle? Anything that can bring a smile to a girl's face is all that it takes to delight and thrill Coulter. She is an accomplished public speaker, a published author, a professional woman, and she has never met a stranger. She grew up all over the United States, attended 8 different schools and 3 different colleges. Coulter has finally settled into Columbia, South Carolina, but often gets restless so she enjoys traveling with her husband, taking classes, being involved with Toastmasters, and meeting new people. She is a real people person and becomes energized in a small and large group settings. You can often feel her energy before she walks into a room. Coulter Templeton. Aging is inevitable. Growing up is optional. Whichever you choose is up to you. So this is Coulter. Aside, we know her and she's a great person. We love. I can't wait till I can join Toastmasters once Fast Track's over. I am really looking forward to it. I know that Ulises and Jalexi were upset last time that they couldn't attend, but I wasn't feeling well. But anyways, I see the group and they seem to be enjoying, and I hear all the laughs and I hear everything. So it looks like something I really want to do, and sounds like it. But again, these earrings are from Coulter, and they are very beautiful. We have quite a selection now, thank God. Yes, and she's got her earrings. So, can you tell us about you, Coulter? Tell us your story. And I know you've had other businesses. Just tell us who you are.
Well, thank you, Vanessa. I'm really honored that you chose me to interview today. And I'm excited to share a little bit about myself. As you heard in my introduction, I grew up all over the United States, and I was constantly meeting new people, making new friends. So, my tagline, I never meet a stranger, is absolutely true. It absolutely amazes my husband that we could go somewhere, especially a restaurant, and he can leave for 2 minutes. And by the time he comes back, I have met the person sitting next to me and the person on the other side, and I can tell him at least 5 facts about these people that I just met. He is completely amazed that I do this every single time, but it just comes naturally. I absolutely love it. I do work in the legal field now as a paralegal. Before, I worked in divorce, which was very stressful, very high stress situations, as you can imagine. And now I just work in death and taxes.
So,
Really, I work in death and taxes. So I have to have a side gig.
so what do you do with death and taxes? I mean,
Probate and tax
oh,
situations.
oh,
So
okay.
I, yes, probate, estate planning, and bad tax situations. Owe money to the government. So
Oh,
at night, when I'm let out, the beast is let free because I get involved with as many things as I can be involved in. As you know, Vanessa, I'm very involved in Toastmasters. It
Yes.
is the most wonderful public speaking and communication and leadership organization in the world. And it is in many different languages. So that is one big passion of mine. Another passion of mine is creating. I'm an artist, I'm artistic. My mind is always going. I'm always trying to find the next creation. And just before the pandemic, I had my next entrepreneurial venture all laid out. I had my website done, I had everything ready to go. And then the pandemic hit, and everything was literally shut down. And when everything was shut down, my business ideas went out the window because it involved going into people's homes. I could not go into people's homes. So I shelved it and I thought, well, I'll just wait until I can get into people's homes and help women make over their closets, make over their jewelry, make over their makeup, just give them a whole new persona. And that still hasn't come to fruition. So I put that aside, being the entrepreneur that I am, and started designing glitter earrings. It sounds kind of silly that it would be
Oh,
a
they're
thrill
beautiful.
to design them, but when people wear them, they get so excited. And I often get comments, where did you get that? I love those earrings. Where did you get them? Of course I made them. I made them myself. But it's just part of who I am. It's just part of creating, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. I want to help every woman out there, help them find the that inner glitter inside of them. Just it's just in there waiting to come out. And sometimes it just takes somebody to come in and show a little bit of interest in them and talk to them, which I'm very good at. I can talk to anybody. But I love doing it. I love meeting people. I love getting to know people. And if it takes a pair of glitter earrings just to make somebody smile and start a conversation, that's what I'm going to do. And I love sharing my life stories. I have so many life experiences. You would think I have led this lavish, lovely, wonderful life. But in essence, I have faced a lot of adversity in my life. So much so that I did co author two books to talk about two of those life experiences because it was so horrific. I didn't think anybody could go through what I went through. And when I found out when I could write and let it go, then it was easier to tell my story and share and tell and share and help and give people hope that they can get through adversity. I know that doesn't tie into glitter earrings, but it really does. It really does. It's helping people find what makes them unique and makes them who they are inside. Because in society, we're too afraid to be who we are. We're too afraid to be different because of what people might say, especially the teenagers. What the teenagers must go through these days is very difficult. And I just want to give hope to everybody that it'll take time for you to really find who you are inside. Who is this person inside of me? How do I let her or how do I let him out? How I let myself be my authentic me? Where can I find that light and where can I find that hope? I want to be that hope for people. I want to be able to share in my public speaking, in my writings, in my books, in my blogs, that there is hope no matter what adversity you go through in life. You will get through it, and then you'll look back and say, wait a minute, I made it through there, and I learned some lessons, and I'm stronger because of it. And we all have that in us. When people say that they've lived a boring life, I beg to differ. I bet there's a lot of life in their lifeline that they can share and bring out and bring forward. Be you, be the authentic you. If it takes glitter hanging from your ears to make people notice, to make people happy, to make people look inside and find that light inside of them, that's all I'm looking for. And that's all I hope to do. And I want to help people find that. I don't care what age you are. I learned this about 10 years ago. I took a class. I'm always taking classes. I took a class with a lady that couldn't drive at night because she couldn't see very well. Well, today she's 88 years old. And she's still an inspiration to me because she never stops. She was 78 when she took this class with me. She says, "You're never too old to stop growing and learning." And that has stuck with me.
Yeah.
It has stuck with me. So look at the people who have influenced you in your life. Use them as inspiration. That's what I want to be. I want to be inspiration for people so that they can find that inner light inside of them and let them their true selves shine.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about your books, please? The two books that you wrote?
Sure. This was in 2015. I had a story inside of me that I had just told for the first time to a group of women at a conference. I
Uh-huh.
cried my way through my story and I thought I need to really get this out. And I said I would really like to write a book. And I contacted this woman because she had just written a chapter in a book. I said, "How did you do this?" She connected me with the publisher who was up in Pennsylvania. And I contacted her. I said, "Can I be in your next book? When is it?" She says, "Well, we're just closing the final author right now. I'm looking for one more author to finish my book. Just send me a little short snapshot of your story." And I did. And she immediately emailed me back. She says, "When can we talk? I want you in my book." And it happened that quick. It happened so fast. I had 2 weeks to write my chapter and get it in, and the book was launched. It was just one of those God things, the right place at the right time, asking the right question.
What's
And
the name of the
it
book?
it is now you've got me stumped. It is a compilation of 25 women who've written books of inspiration and growth.
Oh, wow.
And it I've read every single story in there, and everybody has a story within them. And each one of their difficult times in their life launched each and every one of them into opening a business and starting a business. And and off of that, next year I was approached again from another group of women in Colombia. And I jumped on that because my first story was about what I went through in my first divorce. And I had a second story in me. It was another divorce. So I thought, what a great follow up. I'm just going to get the story out there and then people can read about it. So that book was Pain to Passion. It was a totally different experience. Writing was the same, but the publishing experience was completely different. And I would recommend before you publish or move forward in publishing with maybe co-authoring, do your homework in the publisher. And that is one of the biggest tips I can give you. Look at the track record of the publisher before you agree to be a part of a compilation. And that gave me two very different perspectives. Even though I do retain the rights to my stories, those will go in another book.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, so what you're saying is that it's very important to look into the background of the publisher.
Yes, yes. Or if you're going to self publish, really do your homework on self publishing as well. Because if you're going to self publish, you're going to be self promoting as well. So it's easy to really publish a book. You can self publish through Amazon, but there's a cost to it. And all the promoting is you. So there is a huge difference. My first book was great, Pennsylvania Publishing, a wonderful experience in the second one. I
So
don't
it
believe in.
sounds like you could almost be consulting and publishing books too.
That's what it sounds like. As I said, I have a lot of life experience,
That would be
good
nice. We
and
need
not
more
so
of that
good.
around here. We need more
Hmm.
of that around here.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm very intrigued, and I'm going to tell you something. I highly believe in everything that you said today, Coulter. I mean, like the glitter and the inner shine in everybody, it's there. And the fact that you want to bring it out in any way possible, it's beautiful, you know? And sometimes we don't realize people are so opaque because life adversities and they allow them to consume themselves, and to have someone like you that's out here, you know, activating the inner glitter through jewelry, but it's more deep in there. It's just people do not see it, or it's not visible until you start saying it. I'm very, very at awe and amazed at this interview. And honestly, I really, it's just beautiful everything that you just said, and I would love for you to leave this community with a great message from you, something from Coulter.
The one thing I can say is find that light that's inside of you that brings you joy and go from there.
Thank you very much, Coulter. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. uh, Hope to see you soon around here, and thank you for everything. Okay,
Thank you so much,
all right,
Vanessa.
take care.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye.
That's Coulter for you, the inner glitter in everybody. And we all have it. We just need to find it. So, next we have, again, this is Vanessa Mota with the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And I am very grateful for CAINEM and for this opportunity to have the leading fantastic five. And least but not last. No, what is it? Last but not least. Sorry, I said that backwards. Last but not least is Mr. Bob Kim. He grew up mainly in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. So we have a genius over here with us. A design engineer at Pennsylvania Electric Company in Johnstown, Pennsylvania Construction, engineer at GNE Construction in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Master of Science in Civil Engineering from the Pennsylvania State University and State College. Taught civil engineering as an adjunct professor. Did research on cleanup of soils contaminated with organic toxins, such as petroleum and solvents in Louisiana, North Carolina, Indiana, and South Carolina. Presented technical papers on research findings in US, Scotland, Austria, and Thailand. Did structural designs for highway and railroad bridges and buildings in Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland, Washington, Oregon. Okay. Along the way, authored and co authored several engineering textbooks and research papers in structural engineering and contaminated soil remediation. Owned one rental house in Pennsylvania while working as an engineer for about 15 years. Started working as a research engineer on the Savannah River site in Aiken, South Carolina. Flipped a house in Aiken, South Carolina while working on the Savannah River site and made one third of the annual engineering salary in 45 total minutes of work on the house flip. Quit job as a research engineer on Savannah River site and went full time into the real estate as an investor and started accumulating rental units, both houses and apartment buildings. Got married along the way to a great wife, now owns 20 rental unit houses in South Carolina, and helps run the Midlands Real Estate Investors Association that provides education and networking to other real estate investors, mainly in the South Midlands, including in Columbia, Lexington, and Aiken. And now a professional landlord and house flipper who continues to study different ways of creating other income sources, especially passive income sources. So thank you very much, Bob. So can you tell us, so it sounds like you went from this engineer into owning your own business and flipping houses. Tell us that story. How did that begin?
Well, Vanessa, thanks for letting me on. I I just frankly got tired of making other people money. Um, I guess there's Councilwoman Devine even said it herself. You know, when you work for somebody, you're limited to what you can do on company time and whatnot. And to me, the money I make should depend on the results, not how much time into put into something. If I can solve a problem in say 5 minutes and make say 100,000 versus work the whole year on something and make 100,000, well, it's pretty obvious. I'd rather do it in the 5 minutes. As long as I get the result, that helps people, but they feels worth it. So really, that was my big impetus, if you will. Like when I was an engineer, you work on the company hours. In fact, for a couple of my jobs, I had like a time clock. You had to punch in and out. Okay, I don't like that game. Like now, like for example, I spent the past couple months in Pennsylvania and Virginia because of some family issues, and I couldn't do that if I was an engineer. Um, Now, real estate, the way I do it, by the way, I only have 19 rentals now. I sold one 2 days ago. So, which by the way, this is a crazy market. They're paying sky high prices. So if you can find something to flip, by all means, have at it. So anyway, so I just got tired. Frankly, I got tired, not so much of engineering. I got tired of the rules that my bosses were putting for me in engineering. So anyway, so I started accumulating rental houses, and here I am. South Carolina is especially investor friendly as long as you avoid certain potholes. So that's what I've learned. So I really like investing in South Carolina too.
Okay. So it's made it easier in South Carolina to invest because, and I know that with Midlands RIA, you do a lot of classes and stuff where you teach people how to do things the right way. And so aside from what you have, you also like to advocate or help other flippers or investors do things the right way, right?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of those expensive coaching programs where they insist, put it on your credit card or something like that, you'll make it back quickly. Because the reality is this, Vanessa, the vast majority of people nationwide, it's about 97%, uh, who get into real estate creatively the way we do, they ultimately fail. Okay. In the Columbia area, I'd like to think it's a little bit higher, maybe closer to 10% success rate. That's still awfully low. Consider if you pay for like a $25,000 or $50,000 mentoring program on your credit card, like these people want you to do. Okay.
Mhm.
And you 97% who fail. Okay. You're still stuck with the debt and they got their money. What I've always believed is you can learn this business very affordably. Okay. Obviously, a little money's needed to obviously drive around, find houses and whatnot, that sort of thing. But if you're going to go into an expensive mentoring program, then at least earn the money from some very basic flips first and then pay for that mentoring or coaching program. Don't go into debt on your credit cards and stuff. I've always been a big advocate for that. And I know because I did it and I don't like that. So that's just kind of a warning.
Okay. So one of the things, how do you see, what's the age range that you see right now in your field with flipping houses and stuff like that? Do you see like teenagers doing it, young adults, or mid-age? What is the age
I'm
range?
guessing probably it looks like probably like now about maybe 40s, 50s now, something like that. I think what it is maybe people who are, well, frankly, reached the limit like I did with my corporate jobs. I should say my last job was really more of a lab job, wasn't a corporate job, but with somebody telling you what to do, how to do it, where you're going to do it. Like several years ago, I'm not sure if you remember the VC Summer incident, SCANA,
Oh
SCENC,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that mess. In a
Uh-huh.
day, 5,600 people lost their jobs. One was a good friend of ours. he had to commute different plant that's doing the same thing pretty much down in Waynesboro, Georgia, and he still lived in Columbia. His commute each day was over 3 hours each way. That's over 6 hours of driving every day to go to work because he got laid off from the VC Summit thing. Heck with that. So I said, there's a better way. At least I think if people realize that they can create their own futures, if you will, they don't have to rely on corporate stuff. They don't have to rely on somebody telling them what to do. You know, the key is provide value to somebody that they're willing to pay. Okay, when you can provide that kind of value and of course monetize it, then you call the shots. You're not at the mercy of anyone determining your future.
Do you see young adults getting into this,
Vanessa,
like
is
to
that you or
Lexi's age?
me?
Oh, sorry. Do you see young adults getting into this, like to Lexi's age,
Uh,
or what's your opinion on that?
Vanessa, you just fuzzed out on me. Did I fuzz out on you?
Oh, okay, no, I can hear you clearly. Do you can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Okay, do you think that young adults like to Lexi's age will get into this kind of flipping houses? Do you see that happening?
They have to be interested in it. That's what I'm learning. I mean, you can't. I think it's fun. It's not that I necessarily love real estate. If I could make this kind of money flipping cockroaches, I'd flip cockroaches. Okay, it's that. No, seriously, it's the process that fascinates me. You're finding a market, and you're matching the market with the sellers and buyers. You're matching them. Okay. If Jalexi's interested in this, absolutely. If she's not, you can't force somebody to go into this. And by all means, at least in my case, don't do it just for the money. For me, it has to be fun. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it for very long.
That's what I like. I think before when I first met you, I was like, is this for the money? But the more I've been watching you, and this is why I wanted you on here today, like I've been wanting you on, because I realized that flipping houses is fun, and I have several students in the fast track class that want to meet you so bad. So I can't wait to
Ooh,
introduce you to them. But I admire everything that you
ooh.
do, Bob, and I think that you do great things. And honestly, I don't know why it's going in and out, so we might have to, um, if you could just give us a message for the community, please, like something that comes from Bob Kim to the communities.
Okay, as good or I should say as bad as things may look. Okay, what I've learned is this, and at the risk of sounding opportunistic, um, in chaos there is profit. Okay, so that's the message I'd like to give you. So,
Thank you very much, Bob, and I hope to see you soon, especially around here at MACBA. And we miss you, okay? And we hope to see you, okay?
I miss you guys too. Thanks a lot, Vanessa. I
All right,
appreciate it.
take care, okay?
Bye.
Bye. Hi again, this is Vanessa Mota with CAINEM. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I hope you enjoy this program. This was a great lineup. And again, thank you, CAINEM, for this wonderful Leading Fantastic Five program. Again, everyone, adios. Bye.